might not remember your exact words, but they will remember how you made them feel. So
Right.
people are not going to remember every specific post that you have put up, but they will remember how the account makes them feel. If they feel warm and like they're part of something that is positive and productive, or if they feel, sort of cold and panic and unhappiness when they think about your account.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Molly Hodgdon lives in northern Vermont with her boyfriend and their two cats. She is a freelance writer and operates the popular Cats of Yore social media accounts, where she posts her extensive collection of antique cat photos. She is also the social media manager for Merrimack Farm Sanctuary, a GFAS accredited farm sanctuary in Charlotte, Vermont. Molly, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Molly, you have built such a large following through Cats of Yore, sharing antique cat photos that delight so many people online. So how did that project begin, and what's kept you inspired to keep it growing?
Uh, it was just a genuine hobby. There are a lot of historical photo accounts online that are built specifically to um, just to gain huge audiences, which they then monetize. But for me, it really came from a genuine love of cats and animals in general and being interested in history. I just started sharing this little hobby that I thought was boring, and it turned out it was not boring to, hundreds of thousands of people. What has really inspired me to keep going is not just my love of the hobby, but I've been able to turn it into a real philanthropic um, enterprise. I've raised, at this point, well over $100,000 for a lot of it is for our local Humane Society, the Humane Society of Chittenden County, and also various farm sanctuaries and other shelters, cat shelters. Especially our cats have a virus called FIV, so I tend to look for shelters that help cats with FIV and other chronic illnesses. And that definitely keeps me going. I love raising money to help animals.
Well, you have the secret sauce and we want to hear all about it. How do we monetize social media? I love that. What do you think drew people to want to donate to your website or your social media campaign?
Um, I think a lot of it is sincerity, and this is also what I've brought to my work with Mary Mac. I started volunteering with them in late 2024. My boyfriend and I had been vegan for a long time, and I was always kind of bummed because I thought I could never volunteer for a farm sanctuary because I have lupus, so I can't shovel, stalls. I can't lift hay bales and do any physical work, but they needed help with social media. And a lot of farm sanctuaries do. So I was really excited, like, oh, I have this particular skill that you need. So I started volunteering with them. It was like in December of 2024. And throughout the past year, I've increased their followers by over 1,000%. We've exceeded the goal for every social media fundraising campaign we've had. And I think a lot of it is just I treat my relationship with the social media audience like I'm developing a friendship, like a sincere friendship and a relationship, not I'm trying to exploit them or get money out of them. Like, I want them to see who I really am and who we really are at the sanctuary, and not feel like I'm just using tricks and hacks to try to get more followers. Like, I want them to feel like we're building a sincere relationship.
I want to talk more about this. I want you to tell us everything you know because this is such an important aspect of today's life. You know, you said it so well. It's like, well, I can't do this, but what can I do? And in this
Yes.
space where there's so few of us, it's like everyone can find that one thing that they have to offer. And you have, I mean, if you think about it, in your case, you were able to raise money for a sanctuary, which is their most needed, you know,
Yeah.
they need that the most. Whereas, shoveling or something like that, while also valuable, you have really capitalized on what you have to offer. So talk about how you talk to your audience. What do you said you make them like, as though you're talking to a friend. How is that different than what you see so much in this space?
Um, yeah, I do. I think of it like when somebody sees an account for the first time, it's like meeting someone for the first time. And then like you decide whether or not you like them and you want to go out for coffee with them. And then when you go out for coffee, what was that like? And if somebody is constantly in a panic, or if they're um, really, really angry or something like that, you're not going to want to continue hanging out with them. So I try to be pretty positive. We are realistic about a lot of the sad, stories of neglect and abuse that our animals came from, but we don't let that sort of drag us into a constant pit of despair. I try to exude responsibility. We're not having like panicked emergency fundraisers constantly. Because again, if you met someone and they're constantly in a state of panic and asking you for money every time you hang out with them, you're going to feel like something is a little wrong and you're not going to want to hang out with them anymore and you're not going to trust them with your money. So that has been my that has been my approach to social media. I also think of the quote, I think it was Maya Angelou, people might not remember exactly, I'm going to get it wrong, but people
No,
might not remember your exact words, but they will remember how you made them feel. So
right.
people are not going to remember every specific post that you have put up, but they will remember how the account makes them feel. If they feel warm and like they're part of something that is positive and productive, or if they feel, sort of cold and panic and unhappiness when they think about your account.
I think this is just the best advice, Molly. I'm taking it in personally as you're talking. You're absolutely right. It's like, how do I leave people? How do you feel after you've spoken to me? You
Yes,
know,
yeah,
and in a friendship, sometimes I have an issue, but I also need to be a friend, which is sometimes you have an issue, and I need to be able to give you space to be able
yes.
to feel like you've got a partnership with this relationship. What we love about social media, of course, is that it's accessible to everyone, but we have a lot of very small sanctuaries that we work with who are really, working just to keep, you know, literally food on the table or food in the stalls. So what advice would you give if you're very small, if you're just starting out?
Um, well, one thing is sort of a bit of more practical advice than sort of the stylistic advice is I would not be afraid to move away from the meta platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Threads, because you're always going to be a victim of the algorithm there. There are other options like Blue Sky where you can sort of be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And also the timeline on Blue Sky is chronological. So it is not constantly being reshuffled for celebrities and influencers. People who follow you will actually see your posts. If I were them, I would not be afraid to put, well, I don't know if this is a vegan metaphor, but put more eggs in other baskets, and not be restricted to the meta platforms because you can be just like, talking into the wind and nobody's seeing it because of the algorithms there.
Interesting.
Um, the other thing is just, especially when you're first starting out, is you have to make the content and the social media a priority. It can't be an afterthought, like, oh shoot, I forgot to put something up today. And I know what it's like at a sanctuary where there's just like constant emergencies and distractions and but it has to be sort of in the forefront of your mind, and you have to somehow make it like a daily priority instead of just because that comes across in the content if it was just an afterthought, that you didn't, you know, put much emotion or thought into.
Do you think that using the animals as characters in the story helps to draw attention?
Yes, definitely. Um, yeah, definitely. It's not just good for social media, it's good for sort of the overall mission of making more people vegan, sort of drawing more people, welcoming people into veganism is when they learn more of the little quirks and the personalities of the animals. That helps to sort of build that personal relationship between the audience member and the sanctuary because they get to know an animal and they want to continue following to see what is this animal's life like? What are they up to now? If they're really funny and really quirky, that obviously helps with engagement. But, it also helps establishing, we're trying to build that like rock solid foundation of empathy that makes people make different food choices, when they're at the grocery store and they see, a packet of ground turkey, they think of, oh, Frankie the turkey at that sanctuary that I follow, and maybe they pass it by and go look at the meat substitutes instead.
How long have you been vegan? What's your vegan story?
Um, I'm not sure how long it's been. At least 6 or 7 years. And a big part of it was my cats, actually, because I was raising a lot of money for our local cat and dog shelter. And I just had these creeping feelings of being a hypocrite because I was just, why am I raising so much money and putting all this effort into these two species while all of these other species are suffering and I'm paying people to, hurt them and kill them? And that just really seeped into my subconscious and then my conscious mind until I just couldn't tolerate it anymore. And fortunately, my boyfriend was on kind of the same emotional path that I was. So we both just made a decision and did it, even before I really knew much about vegan cooking. Our diet was a bit limited at first, but now, I've cracked open the whole wonderful world of vegan cuisine.
I'm always amazed when you go to, like dog rescues, events and things like that at the animal shelters, in your communities. They're serving McNuggets, as a food,
Yes.
as an option. It's like, where is that disconnect? So good for you that you were able to put that together because I think that's going to be a lot of people when they recognize, they love their pet. How could they treat one animal this way and another that way?
Yes. And even horse sanctuaries, like, I've seen them having like pig roasts or
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I don't,
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do.
yeah.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Molly Hodgdon of Mary Mac Farm Sanctuary. Molly, Mary Mac is a GFAS accredited sanctuary.
Yes.
Can you share a bit about that accreditation and what it means and why it matters in animal welfare?
Yes. GFAS is the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, and they are the only organization that is accrediting and certifying animal sanctuaries all over the world. And currently, there are only, I believe, 35 farm sanctuaries. Most of the rest of them are horse sanctuaries and wildlife sanctuaries. Uh, they examine everything from like financial responsibility and um, administrative transparency down to the care of every single species that we take care of. I mean, the chickens and the horses and the cows and the donkeys, every single category of animal is examined for care and that policies are in place for different seasons, safety, and euthanasia policies, stuff like that. It's really a very thorough examination, top to bottom. So when you have the GFAS accreditation, people who are donating to you can trust that we are actually doing our absolute best. And it's so important, especially now. Everyone knows in this community that unfortunately there are stories, it seems like every week, of sanctuaries that turn out to be neglecting their animals or they were animal hoarders. And it's tragic and it hurts us all, but it's also kind of a PR nightmare for us. Obviously, the biggest victims here are the animals, but it does make the general public who reads these stories, they do end up with a feeling of suspicion towards farm sanctuaries, because bad news travels a lot faster and a lot wider than good news. So GFAS accreditation is one way that farm sanctuaries can assure the public and assure their donors that they are not one of the horror stories that they may have seen in the local or national news. And I really hope that more farm sanctuaries start getting the accreditation. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it.
Can you tell us what the process is like? What do you know what's a step by step of what the rules are that you go through?
Um, yes, I mean, you contact them and they really tell you exactly what to do. They tell you all of the data, all of the paperwork they need, all of the financials. They ask for specific policies on, A to Z, everything in your operations. And then you really just have to supply them. If you don't have policies, often they can provide examples, or you can reach out to other sanctuaries that do have policies and just read those and sort of reword them for yourself. That's not, it's not like handing in a paper where you're plagiarizing. Everyone's just sort of, sharing these basic policies. Um, After you have all of that submitted, there is a site visit. I believe it's usually 2 days. They come and they look at absolutely everything. No stone is left unturned. They'll see it's everything from like if you don't have little warning signs on your electric fences, so that people can see there's a wire there. And if you don't have enough fire extinguishers placed throughout the facility. And Honestly, it wasn't like having to jump through annoying hoops. It made us a better sanctuary. There were a lot of things that we weren't aware of that we should have been doing that we are doing now. There were things like we did not have a quarantine barn for new intakes. We would have to sort of like shuffle the animals all around so to create a quarantine space. And getting the GFAS accreditation forced us to actually do a fundraiser and get a proper quarantine barn, and it made us a better sanctuary. So, I mean, the process is not just getting that accreditation, it will also like level up your care in your facilities.
Would you say it's true that GFAS wants you to succeed? And that if you're not, as you said, if you don't have everything, that's okay. You have to get it in time to become accredited, but you don't have to be afraid of the process. It could be an opportunity to enhance your situation and safety for your animals.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not like if you don't quite get everything together, you can always try again. It's not like you get one shot and then you're completely shut out of accreditation. And it is definitely a lot of work. But it's also worth it. I mean, especially uh, you don't have to get it all together within a month. You can get the standards and you can be working on, I mean, we were working on it for over a year. So
So they work with you until you're ready.
yes, yeah,
Okay. Well, that's good to know because as you accurately pointed out, all sanctuaries are not created equal. And sadly, they're not all running the way we would like to see them. And this is a wonderful way to accredit everyone who is so that people can feel confident that these animals are getting the good care and therefore generously be willing to donate because
yes,
this space doesn't have enough donations. I think of all the animal philanthropy, there's about 97% that goes towards cats and dogs,
yep.
and 3% go toward farm animals. So we want to see if we can't shift that. And I think this is one of the foundational requirements that people might be looking for. So more of this is important.
Yes. There are grants where they mention GFAS accreditation specifically. Um, so yeah, and again, like only 35 farm sanctuaries being accredited is kind of a shocking number because there's a lot
Hmm.
more farm sanctuaries than that. So the GFAS process is not like a grant application where where they ask sort of like a general question and you don't know what they want and like you just sort of take a shot at it. They really do tell you specifically what you need to submit and what they want.
That's great. Well, living in Vermont, surrounded by all this beautiful nature and animals, how does that environment influence your creative process and
Um,
compassion-driven work?
I think it influences a lot. I'm a native Vermonter, and I love our state. And I guess another piece of advice I would have for farm sanctuaries starting out on social media is, don't try to imitate other sanctuaries. Like, figure out what is unique to you and lean into that. And one of the things that is unique to our sanctuary is the really beautiful setting. So, as much as possible, I try to emphasize just the gorgeous landscapes here and, mention Vermont, show as much as possible of our really distinct four seasons. So it's really nice because sometimes you do feel like I've just been showing the same photos over and over and over again. But in Vermont, we have such dramatic weather and such dramatic season changes that it does, give wonderful photos and wonderful video opportunities throughout the year.
It is such a beautiful state. Can you share maybe one story from either Cats of Yore or Merrimack Farm that has just stayed with you and reminds you just why this work is so important?
Well, um, I recently did a little survey. I actually only sent it out to Blue Sky users so far, where I asked It was very simple. It was like three questions. Has following us on social media changed your dietary choices in any way? Um, and the answers we got back just like filled my heart with joy because there were so many people who said that they were definitely more thoughtful about how much animal products they were eating, that they've reduced the amount of animal products they're eating, that they've actually become vegetarian or, even better, they've become vegan just because of learning about our animals. Um, feeling a personal connection to the pigs and the cows and the turkeys and the other animals that they saw, sort of as objects before instead of,
Yeah.
three-dimensional, personalities who are worthy of respect. So that made me happier than just about anything. Or when we get a comment that says like, um, oh, I'm 60 years old and I never thought I would be vegan, but I've turned vegan because of you guys and, you know, things like that. Like, um, totally crushing a fundraiser is great. But, when people tell me that they have actually become vegan because of, the content that we're putting out there, that's better than anything.
That is true advocacy at its finest. Excellent. Well, looking ahead, Molly, what kind of projects or collaborations are really exciting you right now? Anything that you're working on?
Um, well, after volunteering in social media for Mary Mac for about a year. I just started actually working there. They invited me to come on as a paid employee last December. So now I'm getting much more involved there and exploring, hopefully doing collaborations with maybe vegan recipe creators, like companies that make vegan jerky and stuff like that. We don't have anything scheduled yet because I've just, started, working on it more intensely, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm trying to encourage our director to get out more, do more podcasts, do more speaking engagements. We might be doing a presentation at the ACA conference in Toronto this spring, um, which uh, would be amazing. And, more ways of getting our names out there, which are not just strictly social media.
Do you have any fundraisers planned?
Not at the moment, but we probably will be soon. We have three Highland cows with their horns intact, and we are aware that we need to eventually get a cow chute for them, which is not like the chutes they use for the usual Holsteins around here because it has to compensate for their long horns. So I think pretty soon we will be trying to get a chute so that we can give, hoof trims and vaccines and other stuff to our Highland cows safely, in a way that is safe for them and safe for us with those big horns, and they're very big, powerful animals.
What was the most successful fundraiser that Mary Mac had last year? Do you know?
Um, yes, we did a hay drive for $25,000 to
Oh,
get hay
nice.
through the winter, and we were able to complete that in it was less than 2 weeks, I think. That was pretty satisfying for me. I know before I started at Mary Mac, they would struggle to get even like a few $100s to get vet care for a new animal. Um, and to be able to just sort of fairly easily get $25,000 for hay was, I think, pretty shocking for them. And, it was obviously really joyful for me to be able to do that.
Molly, I think that you're one of the best things that has ever happened to Mary Mac. It's just wonderful all that you've been able to bring to them. Tell us how we can find you and how we can support you.
Um, If you want to see the cat collection, you can search for Cats of Yore on most social media platforms. They're on Blue Sky and Instagram, Spoutable, Tumblr, and Threads. There might be another one in there I'm forgetting. And to see the sanctuary, that's merrimacfarmsanctuary.org. And you can also search Mary Mac Farm Sanctuary on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky.
Molly, thank you for being on today's podcast, and we would love to have you back, and we would love to have your founder as well if and when they're interested. Let us know.
Yes, yeah, I will talk to her.
Excellent. This has been Molly Hodgdon of Mary Mac Farm Sanctuary. We've really enjoyed the conversation, and if you have, please like and subscribe so that we can create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.